Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to Freedom Starts Now. Hope you're all having a great day. This is Karen Theimer here, and I am here from Ontario, Canada, and we have a beautiful, beautiful day today. And oh my gosh, have you ever had one of those days? Well, I'm sure everybody has, where everything is just not going in your time and in your direction, which is me today. Normally, I start this at 1 o'clock every Thursday Eastern time. And today I got stuck in traffic. And then I was trying to and then I got home late and I was like all frantic going, oh my gosh, now what am I going to do? Anyway, and my guest, for some reason, we're not able to, well, hopefully he'll be here today. And oh, there he is. Anyway, thank you for your patience. Thank you for following me. And yeah, Freedom Starts Now really is about just making that decision to have a better life or just have a change in your life and to keep growing and keep, thriving and the whole work. So it's about making that decision that you want something to change. And yeah, so sorry if I'm a little flustered, but I did some deep breathing and here I am. So I'm going to invite my guest up now, Richard Morden, who, give me a second, and I'm going to let him. There we go. We did it. Yay. Today is just, yeah, it's, one of those days where it's like the timing is not going as planned, but that's okay. That's how we roll, right? So, Richard, thank you for your patience. Thank you. We finally did it. I got my link to you, and it's all good. It's all good, right? So, anyway, Richard, tell us a little bit about yourself, because my apologies. I did not, for whatever reason, it wasn't coming up on my screen, and it's all good. It's all good. That's
But
how we roll, right?
but this is how life is. We plan and make plans, but our ability to adjust in the moment is what's important, because that's as we are being trained in emotional flexibility. And life is, as I think people can say, life the last few years has been changing rather drastically. And how
Yes.
do we adjust to that? So I am I guess, a transformation coach, certified in a few different modalities, EFT, NLP. I help people through this change process as I've
Yeah.
changed my own life, and that's my foundation work, in sense of I have done many changes in my life. So I don't talk from theory. I talk from practicality,
Beautiful.
and the ability to embrace change. And I
Yeah.
think that's what maybe we can uh, talk about here a little bit, because we're all in this transformational stage, whether we like it or not.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and I've had the pleasure to kind of been getting to know you a lot lately as we're both taking the same course together and stuff. And there is a huge change in this world that I'm finding, especially right now, right? Just a lot of people are searching and they're looking for something better, or yeah, I would say something better. And so what I would love from you is to share a little bit. Oh my gosh, here's my cat. Sorry. To share a little bit. He likes to be center of attention and walk across my computer and all that. Anyway, so tell us a little bit about how you got into this. You had a loss of a loved one. Would love to hear more about where you were, how you got over, some trauma in your life, and what got you into coaching.
Yeah, life changed for me too. I come from a agricultural background, just a farm boy, out of Ontario. Grew up knowing how to work hard, but didn't have a lot of personal skills. Good family in a sense of there were really strong rules. My father was very strict in a sense of discipline, but we didn't learn the communication skills. We didn't have that social grace, I think. My internal check was one I kept me going in my own resilience. My older siblings all sort of struggled like in life. I was the only one of six to finish high school,
Wow.
and got into my life. And I saw alcoholism in my family, my siblings, and other dysfunctions. And then, my mom had cancer when I was young, so I watched her journey for 12 years,
Mm.
from a young boy till adulthood, and then sat by her bedside for almost a year till she passed. So I saw that duration of long-term sort of tucking in and just not wanting life to unfold, but hoping something could end because you want to see somebody out of pain.
Right.
And through all that, I would still have it work. I did know how to go to work and be responsible, and my work life was very productive for me. People treated me very well, because I was responsible. I was polite. I had a good appetite as a farm boy, so that was a good stead. And I had good people around me that I embraced. I had a family that took me in after my mom died when I was 21 and taught me family. They have been my guiding life. So my exterior world was great, but my interior world was not so great, and nobody knew. Like many of us, we hid our feelings, So that, in a sense of not knowing how to come out of that, but I didn't. I knew not to go into the dysfunction. I saw my family go into alcohol and drugs and siblings, and I thought that's not my road, So I stayed on track of taking care of myself, being healthy, going to the gym and things like that, and just knowing that there was something better for me. And social wise, I was pretty shy, but I was married in my mid 30s, so relationships sort of come and went. But I finally had that foundation in my life, and I'd found a job with Honda, and that gave me a foundation of employment. And through that, my siblings had passed. My brother committed suicide. I'm the last guy he called. I'm the guy that identified his body. So, but that was trauma, and I had no idea.
Wow.
I learned to be pragmatic in my life. I learned to take care of things in the sense of being with my mother and whatever need the family. I took care of my brother's funeral and stuff like that as my father was older. But one of the things we talked about, those are hidden. That was a huge trauma in my life, and I had no clue. I locked it all down. I took care of business, and I went on with my life. And then married with children, and then my wife passed suddenly with a brain aneurysm in 2013. So again, she was traveling. She was a nurse with groups. She was and then suddenly blacked out. So we had a chance to go say goodbye. We had a chance to say our last piece, but I also made a choice to have her removed from life support. And that was just in a moment because I understood what it meant to linger. And there was no hope of her recovery. So I went from being 24 hours, being a father of 2 children, being a widow of 2 children. We carried on. My son was already in school, secondary. My daughter was heading off to university. And fortunately, I got the awareness that I needed self-care. And I think that's when I found EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, and I started, I realized this is something that kept me present because I wanted to be emotionally available to my kids, physically and mentally. And that was a foundation. I took a 3-day course and had some huge traumas come out of my body. I had no idea. And this is part of the work we're doing as we're both studying NLP, that we have these unconscious things that do limit us, that do affect us, and we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And coming through that, I realized, wow, what else is in there? Like, holy cow. So I took took it again in the fall and in the spring, and took a 10-month training course with a master trainer. And that really opened up my eyes to my own self-care and what can I do for others. But in that process, I was still available for my kids. I was there to, physically, I was there emotionally, and we had grandparents around us and other family that allowed my children to carry on and create good lives. So I was very blessed that we had that foundation that allowed them to experience this, but it didn't limit them. And so my daughter, like both my kids travel. My son's here in Mexico. He's teaching English. So and then my daughter is now heading to Japan. She's a ski instructor and has been creating a lifestyle out of her. So life, and I'm grateful they're living their lives to what they enjoy.
Right.
And go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, sorry, how old were you when you just went, and maybe you said it and maybe I missed it, it's possible. How old were you when you went, okay, there's got to be, like when you decide to get into got introduced to EFT?
It was actually, again, just serendipitously, just a couple months before my wife passed in June of 2013. It came across my plate on a webinar, and I thought, this is interesting. And I had been seeking since 2006. I started looking online for something different in my life. I went to work, I had a job, I had family, but the way life was unfolding around me, the way the social media and sports, I was looking for something different. And I started investigating other modalities, courses, all kinds of sound therapy. and I knew I couldn't live the way life was unfolding.
Love
And
it.
that was my sort of awakening to something greater inside me, because and again, I had no idea. I had spent up until 2013, that was a lonely journey
Hmm.
of trying to find myself in that journey. And I say, and I'm quite honest, if someone had taken me off that path and said you can't do this, I would have ended my life.
Got it. It's funny how we have to, and thank you for sharing, because I hear a lot of people that are, we're really good as humans to bury stuff because
Oh,
we don't want to deal with it, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
because we don't, and I know I'm guilty of that, and I'm getting better and better at being
Mhm.
okay with feeling the feelings. I might not love feeling that whatever it is that I'm going through, but I know it's important because I know the gems are on the other side. But it's interesting how we need these traumas to we're either going to stay living in the trauma and live in the victim, or we're going to go, something's got to change. Like somebody point, like that was me, because I had cancer in the past, right? So it's like, just somebody just guide me and point me in the right direction, right? And we need these traumas to make that shift, and make a change in our lives. And that's very cool how you kind of put that message out there, and then EFT shows up. I don't know a lot about the tapping, but I've definitely dabbled in it, and it's amazing how much it can literally shift things. And for me, it's allowed me to bring out those tears that need to come out, right? So you just knew there was something different, right?
Yes, and again, the drive was for something, because again, I was the typical work, come home, watch TV, watch football, and different things. So not a huge TV person. I was always an information gatherer. I love to read. I love different sources, and just abstract stuff. I know. So I never allowed anything or anyone to influence that of what I shouldn't do. And that's the point I
Good.
want to make. I always made my own choice of what was important and viable for me. And a very close friend that guided me one time, he's a much older mentor. When I was reading a book, he said, "What didn't it say?" And I was like, "What?" He said, "You read a book. Okay, find something else on the material, whether you like it or not, and find out and start comparing, have discernment of who's not saying what." And
Hmm.
so that's allowed me to have a very open mind when I'm looking at information and things like that. To okay, they said this now. What are they missing? What are they not telling me? Like it's like your son telling your child telling you something. Okay, you're I'm not getting the whole picture here. You know.
There's little bits and pieces that are missing. Yeah, I
Yeah.
probably know.
So, and it's true. It's information out there. I look at, like, I'm going to sidetrack. I look at social media like we are the head of a family, like that movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding. The man
I
just
don't
going,
know.
I'm the head of the family, I'm the head of the family. And the camera goes to the wife and says, I'm the neck. And often our spouse is their neck, but the media is the neck too. It steers us in directions of what it wants us to do. And it's economics. You can take good or bad. It's all economics. They drive us to do things. And at the end of the road, somebody's there to take our money. so,
Mhm.
so in that quest of looking and having awareness, I get to make my own choices. And it's not selfish. What's in the best interest for myself and my family?
Yeah.
And we have these events too. These events don't have to define our life. They talk about we want to understand the mystery of life. And I got the best quote ever. We didn't come here to understand it. We came here to experience it. And we simplified that. We came here to experience it and understand. There's tons of gurus out there that'll help you understand it, and they're all there to take your money.
Yeah.
And when you come here to experience it, you went, I don't know if I signed up for all this, but boy, oh boy, it's a hell of a ride.
Oh my God, is it? I always say we're in university to be a human.
Yeah.
And it is. And again, everybody has their beliefs and stuff, but I do believe we we chose
Yeah.
this. We chose to all be here at this time. We chose to meet each other when the timing is right. I do believe that, we have a contract with one another. It might be a long contract, it might be a very short contract, whatever. But I don't know. It's just this learning to, yeah. How does one go? Okay, I need to change, and I want a better life, and I'm tired of living this way. Because I know when I turned 50, and again, we all have our stuff that's been thrown our way, or
Yeah.
these curveballs and stuff, right? And I remember when I turned 50 and I thought, there's got to, and I've always said this, there's got to be more to life than what I'm living. I didn't really understand why I said it, but I used to always say that. And when I turned 50, I thought, wow, where did this time go? Right? Like, this is how the first part of my life looked like. And then how do I want to live the second part? Right. And then all of a sudden life threw me another curveball and I became single. So it was like, and then just all these things showing up in my life. And I just felt like at one point somebody just point me in the right direction, because I'm spinning and spinning and spinning and I don't know which direction to go in. I don't know what's up, what's down, what's sideways. And then the universe shows it to you. Here, I'm going to introduce you to somebody and they're going to point you to go here, here, and here, or whatever, right? So yeah, it's fascinating.
It's being curious, and I think that was something I was very fortunate. I always had curiosity, even though, like I kind of grew up with I wasn't allowed to ask questions growing up. We had just we did as you're told. Mom would say, "There's two ways of doing things: the easy way and your father's way. Don't argue." So, so you learn to just do what you need to do. But it taught me resilience. It taught me persistence. It taught me to do things in my life. When I look at it, it's just been simple of time and effort. I've just not the, I don't necessarily have the education, but I have my own education of self-taught, of courses and applications, and I don't have the restrictions or refined structures that so often education puts you in these paradigms. Well, this is what it is. Don't question it. And I question everything. And be curious, because life now, as we are taught to be very defined, to create this and create this, and I thought, now if you're just curious, my favorite word or question is, what else is possible? Anything in my life, my wife and I live by that too. How does it get any better than this, and what else is possible? And it's access consciousness terms, but when you look at that, things show up. And when life throws you a curveball, we're here to learn something from it. Okay, what is my lesson here? And we talk about change points. If I understand and ask the universe, what's my lesson? What can I learn from this? We just drop. Did we drop?
Yeah. No, I'm here.
Okay,
Are you here?
somehow my video dropped off. I don't know what. Oh, there it is. So yeah, it just screamed funny. But what can I learn from this? That shortcuts so much pain and effort, because oftentimes things happen and we fight tooth and nail to resist it or go back to where we were.
Yeah.
And we're being pushed off the edge of the cliff, whether we like it or not. So you either want to go off forward facing, looking what's coming, or ask first. You pick it.
Yeah.
And when we realize we can look in a change, and it may scare the daylights out, because I know people who will do the same thing day in and day out their entire life. If you're happy, great, but it's not my thing.
Yeah.
So being open to that and asking questions of yourself and being aware of what and how things show up, and being curious, magic will unfold.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you'd say that, because this, as I was racing home to do this show, my mind took me on a bit of a journey, and I was just like, because I know I'm being challenged right now, right? I'm taking my business, I'm expanding, I'm going to another level. I know I want to travel, and I want to, be I want to be, what do you call them? The snowbirds. I want to get out of winter, for a few months and stuff like that. Right. But then there's that little part going, well, Karen, you've lived like this forever. I call it, still kind of survival. Right. Mm-hmm. And, you want a better life, but yet you're not doing this. I'm trying to think of where I'm going with this, but it's just like, you've lived what's the word I'm thinking of? You've lived a certain way all your life. Mm-hmm. And you want to have that choice, that live the dream, all that kind of stuff. And then there's a part of you that stops you. And it's weird how it's scary to live the life, where am I going with this?
Step into that freedom.
Step into that freedom. Thank you. I'm like going, wait, where is it? I know where I'm going with it, but it's the words that I'm trying to figure out here. But yeah, so, and it's like, but I've lived this way all my life. I don't know what it feels like to have that freedom. Mm-hmm. So let's stay safe and stay where we are.
And
that makes any sense at all.
Totally. I'll give you a background because of a background for that. And because I grew up in a little place called Alliston, Ontario, and I moved to Barrie when I got married. I was there for 63 years of my life. I moved 30 miles from home. So I understood how to do the same thing. I worked for Honda for 30 years. I drove back and forth, raised my kids. And then with my wife passing and change, and Angela I met some years later, and the change met, we decided to fix up the house and sell it. And again, I was looking for change, didn't realize that. But fortunately for us, we had a combined thing. And we went out to West Coast and said, this is where we want to be. And we sold our house, and it closed on April 30th, 2020, the day everything was shutting down. We were on the road with no backup plan. And we were heading across west. So when everything was shut down, we were driving across the prairies, and often we were the only car on the road.
Wow.
So I went from this static place to embracing this whole thing of, we had a location to land in BC, and at that time do the other things, right? But I mean, we've been on the road ever since. So I went from knowing and having all these things. My purpose was, we talked to this, not looking to recreate what we had. So we purposely have been moving ever since on the road through Airbnbs and releasing all the things we thought we needed, to the point when, being on the road and then living on Vancouver Island, we came to a very quick decision of coming to Mexico back at the end of April. And we had to pare down to a suitcase and a backpack.
Wow.
Photos went, memorabilia went, and what little we had brought with us. So that whole sense of freedom came to understanding that embracement of change. And that's what I can teach, because we lived it, we walked it, we went through that turning point and that change point of like, oh man, it's scaring the shit out of me.
Yeah.
But we did it, so now we're in Mexico, and we're loving it. I've never felt so free in my life, but being here with the climate and the food and the people. So this will be our home.
Amazing. I'm coming to visit you guys, I think, and I want to come visit you guys in winter. This morning I was like, that's it. I'm going on vacation this winter.
Yeah, totally. We'll have a place for you to stay. Absolutely. Because we just embracing the people, the culture, and ignoring what everybody else says about this place.
Yeah.
The fear mongering and all the other crap. It's crap.
Yeah.
And the people are wonderful here.
Oh, I love Mexico. I used to, back in the day when I had my first business and I lived at home and I had all this money and all this free time, and I would go to Mexico 3 times a year. So I have a very soft spot for me. I love Mexico.
Well, there'll be a place for you to come here, and that's the point of change, right? Because we're totally in a foreign language. We're studying Spanish. We're staying in the community because we don't want to live with we don't want to stay in the same people like us. We want to embrace new culture, new people, and we're not afraid to face the unknown of, I have no idea what the heck you're talking about, but I'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out. Just slow it down a bit. But this is the thing, right? Like, things are scary. Change is scary, but we can either just, okay, I'm afraid. And this is what I had the conversation with myself. I'm like, you're afraid of having freedom and doing the life that you want to live and travel the world again. And you're afraid. Like, I scratch my head, but there's the little part of me that the little Karen that has, different things that, we're healing. Right. So, but we're doing it anyway, regardless, right? Like, this is the lifestyle that I want to, continue to grow and stuff like that. And it's like, there's some fear. Of course there's fear, but I'm not going to let the fear stop me, because I want to have even a better life than I have now. So.
Well, and it's drawing out what it felt like. I said after my wife passed, I wrote out my next relationship a year later, and it was like maybe 25 words, but I knew what that felt like. And that's the thing, when we look at that, what would it feel like for me to do this? And if you can't find a feeling, find somebody who does it and model that. Yeah. Because I don't know what that feels like. Well, then, but you can stay where you are, and that's totally fine with you. But I mean, I was there for many years, and almost in a mild depression for a long time. I didn't even know it. Just just getting through life, and it looked good, but again, was I happy? No.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just really part of growing. So what got you into coaching? Tell us a little bit about your coaching. I know I've learned a lot from you, that's for sure. And sorry, I'm going to share one little thing. So you taught me, and I do this pretty much almost every day. And when I don't, it's funny because I have a hard time sleeping when I don't do it. And it was that, okay, subconscious mind, I need an answer to, or give me an answer to whatever the question is, and then bring it to my conscious mind, right? And bring it to me in a way that I'll recognize on my walk. So I pretty much do this every day, and I, like I said, the days that I don't do it, and I have a hard time sleeping, or I wake up in the middle of the night, and my mind is going 8,000 miles an hour, right? But I have to share this little story because I'm learning that when you want something, be very specific. And so I have to share this. So the other day I did that. I was like, okay, I'm ready to be in a relationship again. So I, said something about, where do I find my soulmate, for instance, right? Or whatever it was I said. So I had to laugh. Yesterday was my birthday. And so I did this on Tuesday night. I did it. Wednesday morning, I wake up and there's a text message from my ex-husband. And I'm like, wait, that's not what, I mean, we're still friends. Like, I have nothing wrong with him. But I was like, wait a minute, that's not me. Okay, be a little bit more specific. So, okay, fine. Then him and I, we were chatting. We haven't caught up in a while. And so we were chatting, and then he was talking about how he wants to go to Cuba and all this stuff. So, okay, fine, this and that. And then anyway, so I go visit my friend for lunch, and where do we end up going but a Cuban restaurant? And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Look at what I asked the night before. So anyway, so my point is with this is learning to be more specific of my question, like be more clear of my question. Anyway, I just really wanted to share that with you because I thought it was pretty funny. Anyway.
Well, I think, and if I may say, soulmate's a big picture, like a big thing in the sense, and be open to more.
Yes.
Because again, I go back to, for what worked for me is I knew what this relationship would feel like. I didn't have a picture, hair color, race, creed, color, nothing. I desired the relationship which would allow me to feel the ways of connecting, and this is what we have.
Yeah.
And we both come in with our baggage. We both come in with our health issues, and we've done a good job of supporting each other through our life changes. Got into coaching in the sense of I knew people would go to retire, and I always thought, what's at the end of that? You do all this work, and you sit on your bum and retire, and most people are dead, guaranteed within a year. Guaranteed. Mm-hmm. It's a statistic. Mm-hmm. So, and I knew I wanted a couple of things. I as I get older, I was seeking to be joyful because I wasn't a real happy camper, even though I put a smile on every day and I had good people around me. And part of the coaching came up when my EFT was working through my own life is I can take this to other people, developing, because I've been a hard worker, nose to the grindstone, everything else, but being an entrepreneur is a whole different ballgame, and I'm still in progress.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the sessions with people. I did a lot of free stuff with people to help and learn myself, and I was willing to go through the grind to learn, to be that aspect of help of getting other people through their phase. But I also applied it to my own life. Mm-hmm. I was not like I said, what I work with people and what I teach people, I walk in my own life. I'm very adamant about that I'm not a picture coach. I'm a guy who, if you want to look at my lifestyle, come look at it, and come, my health, my whatever else, because I'm doing it. So that's my point. I'm not a false image person of just doing something because it looks good. I am in that process. And I guess the word I always say is I'm authentic. And that's hugely in my life of having that authenticity around life and helping people uncover themselves and their greater selves, and sense of making sense of their past, and then making choices and healing in the present, not healing the past.
Right.
So, and that's the fun part, right? So that it's enjoyable, and helping them create something. We can spend a life trying to heal, and we can take a moment to create. Which one do you want?
Right.
That moment of creation can continue on to expand in your life and your children. We are leaders in our family. I am leaders in my children's life. What I did is what they are doing now.
Yeah, that's amazing.
and what else are we doing? Angela didn't realize as we are creating our life how many other people are watching us, because we have done something that very few are doing.
Yeah.
And we're grateful. We didn't set out to make an example. We set out to get our own our own lives in a place where we're having fun, and we're having a blast.
I love it. I love it. I love like listening to the both of you. And I'm telling you, for anybody who's watching this, whether you're watching now or later or whatever, reach out to Richard. Like, he's so easy. Like, you and Andrew are both super easy to talk to, right? And I learned so much from you guys. And really, this is a journey of two shamans that I'm friends with, and they've been a huge part of my journey. They always say, like, your healing is my healing and my healing is your healing.
Yeah.
And this is a forever journey, right? Because little things, as we know, will pop up left, right, and center. And, as we've learned, the subconscious mind is saying, hey, it's time to heal this, right? We'll either push it back down or we'll heal it. But yeah.
Well, I can think follow up too. You talked about that night. We are programmed by the media and everything else. They say, take your problems to bed. And we watch before bed. We eat food, whatever. We watch the news. We watch horror movies. We watch all kinds of things to distract us, and we've all done it. And that's what goes into our subconscious.
Yeah.
So if you look at numbers, the latest I just saw from Dr. Cook on Limbic Arc was we access about 2,000 bits of 2,000 bits of information per second in our conscious mind. Out of that, with the NLP work, we get about 175. Our unconscious, or body-wise, is getting 400 million bits of information per second.
Easy.
And that was like yesterday's thing on what he does with. So when you access that unconscious, which is, your whatever you want to say to it, when you put questions, to it in the night, and program things in just before you go to sleep of things you're intending, questions you have for your health, whatever, allowing the unconscious to work with you and for you, magic happens. Yeah. As you are testimony of that, magic happens. And here where we are, we're putting questions on and things are showing up. We're looking at another location here in Mexico, a city that's a little further along the mountains, but it has massive park and trees and hiking trails. And we're like, we got to go see that place, right? Because that's our background. We love BC. We loved our nature.
Yeah.
Some of the areas doesn't have as much of, but if this has what we're talking, we're all like, we're going to go spend a week there.
Beautiful.
But treat your subconscious like a toolbox at night. Put questions down. Even if it's like, I don't know, this is all hokey wokey, whatever. Put it on a piece of paper. Just say, I wonder what this really means, and just be curious.
Yeah, and tell me in the morning.
Tell me in the morning.
Not at 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah, don't text me. but try it. Like, try it on and off. I forget myself. I go, I haven't done anything for a while, so I don't do it every night myself, but I do it most of the time. Yeah. And then you go 4 or 5 days. Hey, get back into your routine, buddy. So it's not. But it doesn't. It's not a. It doesn't have to be a discipline.
No.
But and again, what they said. Somebody said, I read some of that. Who does? You can have anything you want as long as you pay attention.
Yes.
Ask a question and look at what shows up for feedback, because we are cause, we are creators, and the effect is what's showing up around us. And if you don't like it, change the cause, change you.
Yeah. And it really teaches you to be aware. And do we miss things? Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, things get sent our way all the time, messages all the time, and we're either going to catch it or we're not. But I taught this to one of my clients doing that. So it'll be interesting to see what she says today, because she did that last night. So it'll be interesting to see what shows up for her today. But there's so many different things to play around with. It's like, I don't know.
But asking any questions. I changed a job many decades ago working there. I was wandering around. I was working on a farm, and I started realizing I'm walking around one day, and I said, is this it? Is this my life? What else is out there? And it was about a month later, I had an opportunity for a job change and went off to another location. Now, be careful what you ask for. As like Karen, as you know, as we're being taught too, is like if you're really throwing nasty stuff out, oh, I can't stand this, I can't stand this. Well, then maybe things are going to change drastically. But if you're curious and you
Yeah.
give yourself that opportunity and grace, things may happen smoothly for you that you can actually slide into and not fall into.
Yeah. And sometimes it's like, oh, how did I attract that one? I had a friend of mine. He was telling me he's another coach, and he was saying how, and I'll probably get parts of the story right, but anyway, he was supposed to go out with some friends. He didn't really want to, and he was going on and on about it. But then I don't know, for whatever reason, he decided to go. But then his car broke down, and it ended up costing him over $1,000.
Mm.
Right. So it's like, oh, wow, how did I attract that? If I had just said like, or whatever, something along that line, like he attracted that in so he wouldn't go instead of just telling his friends, you know what, I just don't want to go out tonight.
Yeah.
Right. But that ended up costing, by him not using his voice, costed him over $1,000. So anyway, it was interesting. So what kind of clients, what kind of clients do you like to work with? Is there a particular, what's your niche, I guess?
Been working on with people who have at least gone through one divorce, because oftentimes they're looking potentially for a new relationship. Now, we are very good at replacing men and women. And as a divorce lawyer I talked to out of Texas, who I was on a webinar with, or a podcast, she said about 18 months is usually the magic for the second round of divorce. When the I'm in love aspect wears off. And I could talk long about that because I'm use the love language. There's a difference between feeling loved and being in love.
Right.
And the being in love is literally hormones and peptides and everything else, and that'll wear off. Feeling loved is actions and behavior, and the 5 love languages. Somebody's gone through divorce, or looking to been through some traumatic relationships and want to not replace, but to create something different. So putting the pieces together in the past, and we've all had trauma. So addressing what needs to be addressed in order to become present, aware, and what do you want to create now, and your life in sense. So I say divorce is a pain point, because it's a focal point. We seek relationships. We are always seeking that. So it's communication with your family, your siblings, all those pieces that go together with that. That it may not be the next marriage, but it could be a lot of great friendships that you could be open to. But again, in my own life, I created a new relationship, and we're now married. So if that's what people want, but not to have the same thing show up and wonder what the heck is this.
Yeah. I knew I had to go on a healing journey. I knew I had to, after my marriage ended, that I was like, okay, I got to go find me and what I'm all about. Right.
Yep.
So, which is important. And I just started reading the 5 love languages. And I think that, like, the more I learn about it, the more it's like, yeah, okay, this makes sense, right? Like, neither one of us were speaking each other's language, and they don't teach you that, right? It's not like, so that's that. I want to not today, but I would love to talk. Maybe do another show around the 5 love languages, right? So. Yeah, I think that would be, I had a guest on, I think it was last week or the week before, and she's a love coach, right? So it was interesting, her talk on that. I wonder why I'm attracting all this in right now. This is, but yeah, it's important. It's important. Do you know your love?
Many of us are seeking community.
Yeah.
Either it's isolation, but even, I forget who taught it. David Suzuki said years ago, the more technology we brought in, the more isolated we become.
Yes.
And now we're seeking community, to connect with people that we can embrace and embrace our differences. Especially, we don't have to be all the same, but aware of our differences and understanding we all have our choice, what we think, believe, and feel, but we can still honor each other for some of our similarities. So it's and embracing that and being respectful of that. Yeah. So it's not all, but we don't all have to line up for things, especially our partners. But if we have many things that we honor each other with, and some of the other stuff isn't what I call super contrasting, and that's what I teach in for somebody creating a relationship, is the boundaries in there. Not just the similarities, but what do you want to create?
Yeah.
and that's special. It's in love languages. How to make these changes, because you understand the love languages, you understand that with your children and
Yes.
your siblings, and how you guys all disconnected sometimes. And nobody teaches us in school. Nobody teaches us the difference in speaking styles of direct, inferential, things like that. So we have to do this from the ground up.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Oh, there's so much. That's why we're in university.
Yes, life
Um,
university.
So thank you, Richard, for being my guest today, and I absolutely appreciate, and I love chatting with you as always,
Thank you.
right? And we have a big intensive weekend this weekend
Yep.
with our course, and we'll see what unfolds this weekend. It'll be interesting. So how does one get a hold of you? And I highly recommend reach out to Richard. So how do
Yeah, it's on my if the links you put on Linktree Nat. So my WhatsApp number is there. My email is there as well.
yeah, I did put it in.
So again, I'm in Mexico, so I don't receive regular phone calls. So WhatsApp is pretty well the only way, or an email. I'll respond to. There's a schedule link on there as well. If somebody wants to put scheduled time, a 30-minute chat with me. Again, just curious of where you think you might want to go, even if it's just a conversation. I can point you in some direction or give you or refer somebody. It's not always about me. It's what's best for you and your journey and time, and I'll serve you as best I can.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you once
Karen.
again. And I will see you this weekend. Well, not in person, but I do want to actually chat with you about maybe coming out to Mexico. I'm really
Yes,
actually considering that. So
Totally.
yeah, we will chat. And thank you everybody for chiming in to
Thank
Freedom
you.
Starts Now. And we will see you guys next week at 1 o'clock on Thursdays, Eastern
Okay.
time. All right. Bye for now.
Bye bye.
All righty. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you got some tips out of this, and maybe it's time to make a change, whatever that is. Feel free to reach out to Richard. Feel free to reach out to myself. We are all here to help you make that decision, and we'll talk to you later. Bye for now. Have a great week.